Everything is perception. Every single thing you experience in your life is a product of your perception. What have you been focusing on? Are you focusing on misery? Are you focusing on the things that aren't going well in your life? Or do you focus on the things that do go well? For every single subject, every single thing in this material world, there is two sides. There is always a good and a bad, and what we experience more of is what we focus on more of. For example, let's say I start a new job and there's a good aspect and a bad aspect, and I can see them both clearly. The good aspect is I've got freedom. The bad aspect is I don't have any guidelines. There's no guidance. I'm so free, but there's no guidance. I can do whatever I want, but I don't exactly know what I'm doing in regards to the job. Let's say I join that job and that's very clear to me. Now, which side do I focus on more of? That's what determines whether that experience, the experience of work, becomes increasingly positive or increasingly negative. The same applies to every other subject. Relationships. When you have a relationship, do you focus on the things that are going well? Do you focus on what you appreciate in those relationships, the reasons you enjoy spending time with this person? Or do you focus more on the things that this person does that annoys you, the things they aren't doing that you wish they were doing? Keep in mind, this whole world is made up of duality. There are two sides to every single thing, no matter what scale you look at the world at. Let's say you're looking at it on a global scale. There are wars, but then there are also charities. There is killing and murdering, but there is also surgeons and doctors trying to help people, and people volunteering to assist others. Which side do you focus on more? Do you focus on the killing and the murdering and let that affect how you feel, and then you join the resistance and then you start causing a commotion, and then that incentivizes people to get even more aggressive with you? Or do you look at the people who heal others, start joining in on the healing, let that affect you, get inspired, and then people come to you for healing? Which one has the better outcome? You think you're helping by digging into the negative subjects, but you perpetuate that experience by observing it. Keep in mind, you're the only one in this reality who is real. But how am I the only one in this reality that's real? Because the version of every single person you experience is there to reflect you. And they're all going through their own versions of their reality, and you're reflecting to them something that they need to see. So don't worry about what anyone else is doing, except to see that as a guide for yourself. It is a reflection of yourself. So let's say life isn't going so well. What should you do? First of all, slow down, meditate, get some sleep. If you haven't slept, if you've been stressing too much, just get some sleep. Take a sick day off, rest, recover, forget about all the motivation and the aspiration, forget about that. We need to get you back to, I'm okay. Instead of, I'm in misery, get me out of here. So, get some rest. Once you're rested, you'll have a bit more mental clarity, so you can think a little bit more clearly. And in that situation, you should resume any positive routines you have in your life. If you enjoy breakfast and you have the same thing every day, then continue doing that. Continue the positive routines and meditate. Step away from everything. It doesn't have to be a meditation where you close your eyes, although that would help. You can just sit at a park and experience stillness. The purpose of the meditation, or whatever activity at this stage, is to return to stillness. You need to slow down. You need to disassociate from the physical self. Remember that this is not you. You are the one that perceives. You're not the one who moves the body. You're not the one who thinks the thoughts. You're not the one who makes decisions. So forget about it all. You get so fixated on one problem that you forget that that problem is not yours. It's not you experiencing the problem, or it's not you. You're not the physical self who's created the problem and who's making the decisions and who's thinking thoughts. The only thing you're doing, the real you, the only thing you're doing is perceiving. And what you perceive is what you create more of. That's what I mean by you are not the physical self. You are as much that physical self. I am as much this physical self as I am every other physical self. Every other person, every other plant, animal, I am all of it equally. How? Because the real me does not control what this body does, how this body moves. The real me doesn't determine that I'm saying these words right now as I speak into this video. The real me perceives certain feelings, certain things in the world, perceives opportunities, excitement, and through that perception, everything in the world moves in accordance. And so, me speaking right now is not the result of me saying I'm going to speak into this camera and have a great experience. It's the result of me perceiving a great experience, and then the body is now following, and now the body is deciding to speak about how the body operates, but it is not me. This is not me. I am the perceiver. So how should you live your life knowing that you're not the physical body? What does it matter? What difference does it make? Well, the key is to remember that you're not the physical body, and remember that you're the perceiver, and that the perceiver will always determine what the physical body does. Stop trying to control things in physical reality. Stop trying to brute force your way into getting rich, into having friends, into a relationship. Don't brute force your way into anything because it'll never happen. Instead, perceive more of that which you want. If you want a relationship, figure out why. What feeling do you want? What feeling do you think that relationship would fulfill? Is it love? If it's love, then perceive more love in your reality. You think you want a job, you try to brute force your way into it, you're not going to get it. Instead, perceive, what will that job give me? Will it be more freedom? Will it be more income? What does income mean to you? Let's say it goes down to freedom or stability. Perceive more stability in your life. How do you perceive more of these things if you're not experiencing them? It's always there. There are two sides to every single thing in existence, as I mentioned. And so you just need to find it. You're so blinded by your panic and your desperation for these things that you can't see that it is there. Maybe in smaller amounts because you haven't been focusing on it. You've been too focused on the lack of stability or freedom. If you assume that freedom is already here, then you will find out how that is true. For example, I'll assume freedom is already here. Even though I have a 9-to-5 job, I'm pretty free, so it doesn't apply as much, but I'm still constrained to a 9-to-5 job. Let's say I assume that I am free. I can find that in this moment, what I'm free to do is feel whatever way I want, and what I'm free to do is perceive whatever I want. Paradoxically, I'm perceiving the freedom that is the freedom to perceive whatever I want. Think of anything that you want, find out why you actually want it, what it will give you, then perceive that now. Assume that it is there now, and you'll be able to perceive it. The more you perceive it, the more you create it in your life. And the more you create it in your life, the more you'll get the reinforcement of that perception. And then the easier it is to maintain. The more momentum you create, the easier it is to maintain the positive feelings, the life that you think you want, which is actually a product of the frequency you actually want. So let's summarize. Step 1, think about the thing that you think you want. Step 2, understand the feeling that you think that thing will give you. Step 3, assume that you feel it now. Generate the feeling now in any way that you can, whether it be meditation, imagination, whatever technique you need to use, and assume it in the present. Step 4, validate it with logic. Find how it is true. You thought it wasn't true a second ago, but now you've assumed it. You will see how it is true, that you have that thing which you think only comes from the physical object mentioned in step 1. Step 5, remember through this that you are not the one taking physical action, you are the perceiver. You are not the character in the movie, you are the one watching the movie play out. And what you focus on as you watch the movie is what you create more of. Frequency is everything, and our frequency corresponds with our physical experience while we're in this illusion. And our physical experience is made up of things that we perceive, which is a product of our feelings. The things we perceive create more of how we feel and what we see and what we do. It is all perception. Control your perception, control your focus. Dopamine is the material representation of this ability to control your focus. So control your dopamine. Don't indulge your senses. Remain free from the constraints of the body. Control your focus and you control everything. Control your perception, you control everything.